What do 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 beep 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 beep. Hop 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 hop. Oh, Internet! What's up, Internet? What's going on? How you doing? Oh, it's Friday, you guys. It's Friday, you guys. Oh, hello from lovely Greece. Oh, coming in from Greece. How you doing? What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, and I am slightly winded, you guys. I'm winded. I've been running amok all day long. I've been running around, and it's been a very, very busy day. But that doesn't mean we don't do the show. We do the show because it's Friday. What's up, everybody? Rob Hicks Aquariums, first one to the chat today. I don't know what happened to Frank. He's probably stuck on the freeway, guessing from all the freeway reports that are coming in. All the Friday reports coming in, you know, I don't know. They said that there was a bunch of people crashing on the freeway, so I bet you Frank's stuck on the freeway. But Rob Hicks, representing Canada, coming in strong to the chat. Numero uno. One in our hearts. Number one in the charts. Coming in hot and fresh. But let's say Jam Nation. What's up, Jam Nation? The Turtle Girl's here. Charlie List, how you doing? 54 Punchy is here. Say hi to a few people here. Sarah Kanopko, what's up? Mellow Moogle's here, one of our extraordinary moderators. We like to see the moderators around here. Tampa Tom is here. Good to see Tampa Tom. Swift Aquarium. I know he's in Oregon, so we could say that. How you doing? Good to see you. Famous Jones is here, followed by Candy Overhauls. CJ Black, Heather from Varuna Aquatics is here. I'm glad to hear that you're here. That's cool. Magic 21 Mom, what's up? Oh! Rob Hicks Aquarium says to keep it real. I will keep it real. I'll keep doing that. Lumpy Dog is here. Dan Squire's making it out. I thought he was going to be in the Alps today, but I guess he got his dates mixed up. So, glad to have him here. That's all good. Glad to hear that. Let's see. Mr. Steven Skoglund is here, otherwise known as the Steve Shrimpy, Shrimpery, and more. Lena Mend is here. Daryl Dimer, what's going on with Ann Flynn's Fish Forum? Oh, glad to see everybody here. G-Bear showing up. Lord Getface, the Lord Getface, digging it. Even Stepowny. That's a hard one to say. But Potatoes here. Mary Beth Mabe, good to see you. Tim Lewis, not to be forgotten. Leon Ballantyne, Neon Tetra Aquarist. BC Fish Room, what's going on? Did I miss somebody? I think I did. Mary RNH2O Shrek. I like everybody's names are getting wilder and wilder. Fishy Mailman is here, one of our big supporters. What's up, my man? Debbie Swan is here. Annie Confetti. The Tortoise Fan is from Greece. That's who's from Greece. Sounds like we're getting a bunch of people saying where they're from here in the chat, which is cool. Karen Pepe is here. Good to see you. Wushu Jimmy Brown, Mr. Glassboxes himself. Oh, man, so many cool people in the chat. If I missed you, it's not on purpose. Oh, there's Master Beta and Kevin Keener. Good to see you guys. Some of our local long followers. Oh, and Eric Gone Mad is here. That's good. Hoodster 1971. Good to see you. Mason French coming in. Oh, and Mr. Swashimi Whiskey. Good to see you there, brother. I guess if Sashimi Whiskey's in the chat, somebody was saying they found a Scootin' Fruity Puffer somewhere, and that they were looking for Corey. So, I don't know. Just tell Mr. Swashimi Whiskey there where it's at, and then they'll probably find it where it's at. You know what I mean? Hopefully it's local. If it's local, otherwise getting it shipped in is probably a big deal. I don't know. I don't know these days with shipping fish, but I do know a thing about shipping plants, and I got some lovely plants coming at you today from Drew. Mr. Drew, one of our homies out there in the world of the Earth planet where we live. Earth planet. We got some Telanthera rosefolia, otherwise known as Alternanthera renekii, multiple names for it, but fantastic red plant. We got that. That will be in the video segment, so if anybody's hanging around for the video segment today, that'll be in there. Also, adding substrate to the 60-gallon. That will be in the video segment today, along with some something else. I don't know. We got a decent video segment coming out today, which is going to be fun, I think. Maybe. Maybe y'all just be like, this is stupid, and light your computer on fire. Don't do that. That would be a bad idea. Just turn it off. If you don't like it, you could always just turn it off, right? And then you could just go run around outside in the cold rain and all that that's going on out here. It's raining a lot. It's real cold. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's, like, insanely cold, but it's cold enough. I don't know what's going on here, why the stupid thumbnail on today's show didn't update, but I don't know. I put a new one on there, and for whatever reason, it's not updating. I don't know. People are sharing it out. I don't know. I don't know why. If anybody's going to ask me, they're going to come in and ask me that question. I'll just say now, I don't know. I put a new one on there, and don't know why that's the case. Let's see. Nisi, are we talking about where we are? I'm currently in. Wait, where'd that go? I'm currently hiding from the wind somewhere in America. I know where Nisi's at. I'm not going to tell you though. I'm not going to tell you where Nisi's at, but I do know. You know why? Because I'm sneaky. I'm sneaky. And I know what's up. Let's see. What was that? Something just made crazy beeping sounds. And I don't know what that was. I don't know. Oh, well, hopefully whatever that beeping sound was is not a serious warning. Maybe it was just like me hearing beeping sounds. I don't know. But let's jump into the show today because we're already 10 minutes in. And yeah. But what did I say? Friday questions. We got the Hardscape and we got fan mail. Okay, so I ran on that stuff. Now, a lot of the fan questions today are coming from the Patreon community page, which is, you know, I feel like a great resource. I know yesterday Corey and I were talking about it on the Real Fish Talk. He was like, "Well, you had me on that one." It actually is a really good. It's a great resource. If you happen to be able to be a Patreon, then it's a great resource to pop onto the community portion of it. You could post pictures of stuff that's going on. and those kinds of things. I do have an email. Joel@darkstararts.com is my email address. You can send me emails if you like, but I will tell you right now, that thing is jam-packed full of all sorts of things to answer. So bear with me if you're waiting on me to get back to you. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, but sometimes I just don't have the doodly finger time to be fingering, because I have to do things like make painting projects, right? Very important for me to do painting projects. And I gotta do it. That's stuff that I gotta do. And I can't be emailing people back. But, you know. Let's see here. Oh, where was the first one? Okay. This one isn't a question. This one actually is just kind of a comment from the Olympia Shrimpery. Just replaced my two Aqua Clear hang-on backs with a Fluval 406 canister on my 40 breeder. I should have bought the 306. Turns out the 406 is overkill for a 40. I can only run it at half power, or it blows my fish out of the water. Upside is the water's super clear now, and the filter is very quiet. So that's just a little bit of a review and update from Olympia Shrimps. She changed out to a Fluval 406, which is, I think, a pretty darn good filter. I like the AquaClear hang-on backs, but if you were going to be switching to a canister, that's definitely one I would certainly recommend. You know, it's definitely one of those things that maybe a canister filter is going to work out better. This one turns out to be a little bit overkill, maybe a little too much power, but I don't think you could ever really have too much power as far as a canister filter is concerned. That would just be my opinion. I'm like, dude, let's turbocharge this thing. Let's take this thing up to, what's the word? 11? Let's take it up to 11. You know what I mean? That is a thing that you could definitely do. Let's catch up with the chat here real quick. Schwishky Vision needs to update his wardrobe with some plaid. Yes, you do, my man. You definitely got to get some plaid. Brian CZ says, loves the shirt. Oh, thank you. I like this shirt myself. It's a nice looking shirt. I saved all my pennies up, and I bought a shirt instead of buying a camera because I had enough money for a shirt and not enough money for a camera. Does that make sense? Or is that just super American? I just figured there's no way I can afford a new camera, so I might as well look fresh while I'm shooting with my old camera. Right? And then people are like, oh, look at that guy, man. He's looking snappy. He's looking snappy while he's taking snaps with his camera, right? So, you know, I got a new shirt, and that's pretty much what it boiled down to. So that was my January. That was my January expenditure, was add in another plaid. Added another plaid. Nice plaid work shirt with the snaps. These are my favorite shirts, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about for me, realistically. You know, I was just like, hey, man, I can't afford the new tool I need, so I'm just going to get a shirt in the meantime. You know? It's like, sometimes it's the little things, and we just, you know, it's just a little gift to get me by until I can afford a new camera, which is probably going to be about 6 months from now, I think, at this point. But I can still look forward to that, and you know, I'm looking forward to that someday. We'll get there. I don't mind. I don't mind waiting for a good thing, so that's going to be a good deal as it comes along. All right, so we checked in with the Olympia Shrimpery. The zombie drummer posted up and let us know that he changed the thingy. He has cohesion with his names now. You know, which isn't really a question either. But here comes a big question from our boy Kevin Hayes, who is a longtime subscriber. He and I have had many discussions over the year. Definitely a super cool dude. It's too bad he lives super far away. Otherwise, I think we probably would have done some projects by now. But he doesn't live in Florida anymore. Now he lives in between here and Florida. So he's like halfway. It's like halfway now. So that's not a bad deal, right? Now he's not so far. I mean, how long is the flight from here to Florida? 100 hours? 100 million hours, I think. But here's his question. I said earlier in the week, I was trying to copy and paste. So like I have these little floaty things. I couldn't get it to work right with XSplit. So I'm actually just going to have to read them off to you guys. I don't know. It feels a little bit ghetto, but it's the best that I could do today with all the other stuff I got going on. I couldn't get it to like look good and have it pop up right. So I'll work on it. And maybe by next week, then we'll be like, click, oh, check it out. And then it'll be in the video. But otherwise, I'll have to just read it off to you guys. All right. So Kevin was asking, I was wondering if anyone has experience with nitrates coming straight from the tap. I will be posting this question on Facebook as well, but I thought Joel may find it to be a useful topic on the podcast, which, yes, I did. I am getting off-the-chart readings of nitrate out of my tap, and I'm looking for a reasonable way to remove them without affecting my water otherwise. I believe I read an article years ago about this being a worse issue in winter months for whatever reason. But my research is rusty. I know I can use RODI and then just buffer the water back to where I need it, but I would rather not waste the water or the money to do so if it's not needed. I also have been reading that softeners can do the trick as well, but again, cost. Thanks in advance for any info. Okay, so the main jazz of this question, was essentially, hey, I'm getting a lot of nitrates out of my tap. What can I do to kind of amend this problem without seriously affecting the water? Now, I know that in previous conversations that I've had on the internet, I know a lot of people out there have heard me say, I would love to have this kind of nitrate coming out of my tap, and I'm still on board with that. And the main reason for that is all my plants are tanks. All of my tanks are essentially planted tanks, barring my reef tank, obviously. But the nitrate coming out of the tap would mean that I would never have to worry about any kind of fertilizer ever again, because you just do water changes and boom, plants are busting out. Where Kevin is in the middle of the country, there is a reality that his water is going to change over the year as things go along, depending on the watershed and where the water is being delivered from. It definitely is going to change because essentially upstream is getting a ton more water. It's all coming down and pushing a lot of stuff into the water column of the drinking water, the watershed, and it will be an ongoing problem. Now, one of the easiest ways to filter, it's been quite a while since I showed anybody my push filter. It's actually a 3-cartridge filter that just goes onto the hose in my fish room. And the first stage is actually just a micron filter, which is like particulate, all of those types of things. And then the second stage is a charcoal and drinking water filter, which is essentially going to pick up a lot of anything that's basically just suspended in the water column. It's going to grab a bunch of that stuff, kind of polish it a little bit. Then the last chamber is actually a deionizing chamber. Now, the deionizing chamber will grab pretty much everything out of the water and get it basically to RODI water, RODI water, reverse osmosis deionized water. The DI portion is the deionizing portion. It'll essentially scrub all my water clean and basically just give you pure water from there on out. But that is expensive. So what typically happens in an RODI unit is that you put the reverse osmosis portion on there, which is where the wastewater gets pushed off. And that's where a lot of the wastewater is getting pushed off from, because of the RO membrane is essentially stopping any of that from coming through. Then the wastewater is going to carry it away. I find this to be, in the situation that I have, I find this to be a big waste. So that's why I don't have the RO portion on my filter. But I only use the deionizing portion when I'm doing water changes for the reef, because I don't want to add nitrates or anything like that to the reef when I'm doing a water change on it. So what I do is actually take the deionizing filter out and then just run it like that with just the 2-stage filter of the just picking up any kind of microns and running it through the charcoal filter after the fact, and then it just goes through the next chamber with no filter in it. And then that's how I do the water changes into my planet aquariums, because a little bit of nitrate's not going to be a huge deal. Like he was saying that his is reading off the charts, it might be a problem, and this might be a reasonable resolution for some of those nitrates to get picked up through kind of a cheap filter without wasting any water. And if you were to go to the deionizing portion, it does get really costly over time, so it might end up being a roadie filter might be the best way to go for this. But honestly, that's the best resolution that I've been able to find in my experience over time. Messing around with stuff has definitely, that's been the best way to do it. So that would be my recommendation in this instance, would be to do that, because all the parts on Amazon are like, I think each filter cartridge is like 11 or 12 bucks, and then a couple of pieces of pipe to put them together, and then hook the hose up to it. So actually it does work out to be pretty cheap. And then if you do need the deionizing portion for something like a reef tank or something like that, you can do what I do and take it on and take it off, and that seems to grab a lot of the things out of the water column that I don't want going into my tank. There are some other ways to do it, but they're even more costly than running the deionized filter. So I'm not really going to recommend those, because I feel like you're going to end up wasting a lot of money. So that would be my recommendation. Hopefully that helps. But I would never be super irritated about nitrates coming out of my tap, because I would just plant all my aquariums. I would just have floating plants. I'd have plants for days. That would be realistically the best in my setup. That would be the best way for me to handle that, would be just to add more plants realistically, and just plant the heck out of them. You know what I mean? Like, just go wild with plants. That's what I kind of do anyhow. So it's pretty much in line with what I was already going to do. Jules the Walker with a $5 super chat. $5 American, I think. $5 super chat. Keep doing your thing, brother. Do your thing. All right. I will. It's my thing. And I'm going to do what I want to do. It's my thing. Do what I want to do. There we go. Just had to kind of think about it for a second. Got to think about it. I kind of wish I had a drum kit here. I don't have a drum kit here. I kind of wish I did. I don't know if I want to get back into drumming, but I think with our basement, I think we could probably get a little drum kit set up. I could probably get a little drum kit down there. Not really bother the neighbors, and I don't know if I'd be able to keep it out of the Vicky's way, though. Because I wouldn't want to get my spouse all mad at me, because she's the most important thing in my life. I was about to say the biggest thing in my life. She's not the biggest thing in my life. This house is bigger than Vicky. Come on now. But she's the most important thing in my life. And I don't know. I think I'm going to have to talk to her before I even consider. But I was thinking about just getting a snare drum, a nice hi-hat, a nice snare drum, and just a nice kick drum. And maybe like one ride. I think that would probably be enough for a lot of the things that I want to tap out, and just figure out some new beats and things. And I realized that I don't know if I even have the time to add anything to my day, But it is a good way to wake up in the morning and work out a little bit. So maybe it'll be worthwhile, but that was just in my head. And the zombie drummer is here, says drums, drums, drums. That's legit. That's legit. I mean, realistically, it would be better for me to find a local drummer who's just down to do some projects, I think. Oh, Kevin Keener says, don't forget the cowbell. I would never forget the cowbell. Potato says, get a junior set and stick a pillow in each drum. I hate the pillows in each drum. I hate that. That always drove me nuts. Thomas Hinchcliffe says, I have a planted 125 with a pair of Rams and Corridorus. My pH is 7.1. Oh, excuse me. My pH is 7.1, and I'm looking for something different. What should I go for? What would you do? I don't know. What do you mean? Are you looking for a different fish? I'm confused. Totally confused. Maybe there's like more comment to it? I don't know. Let's see. Potato says, you may like that shirt, but you may have to let it go when you ship off that shrimp in the back. Perfect match. No way I'm doing that. If anybody knew who that shrimp was going to, he wouldn't fit this shirt. He's too buff. He's too buff for this shirt. Where that shrimp is going. I don't see him in the chat, so I'm not going to talk about him if he's not around. You know what I mean? Let's see. Schwisky Vision says, by the way, did I tell you I invented stingrays? Oh, that's pretty good. All right. Let's see. Turtle Girl says, I like that unfinished shrimp in the back. It matches your shirt. Yeah, it kind of does, actually. In person, I think it looks a little different, but because it's so far back there, honestly, that's a pretty big painting. It's 3 feet. It's a 3-foot painting. It looks small because my head's right here, close to the camera, and then the painting's back there, far away, near and far. Thomas Hinchcliffe was asking, what other fish should I put in it? Let's see. With a pair of Rams and Corridorus, I would certainly add some more Cories. I would up the Cory action. I do have to admit, I was looking at the Pandagaras yesterday. I'm going to need to get me some Pandagaras. That's going to happen. I'm going to have to get some Pandagaras fairly soon. I need to figure out how to get like 100 of them. I want to have a Pandagara party tank. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking those guys look like bumblebees. I'm way into bumblebees. And I think that might be the way to go. Is a bunch of Pandagaras. The Galaxy Rasboras are going to have to be imported, so those will be coming at some point in time for the 240. The 60-gallon actually has its substrate in it today, and you guys will check that out. You guys will be able to check that out in the video portion. So, all right, back on to the Patreon people questions. So, I better hit the little button here. Hey guys, this is from Jamil Mohammed. I was asking, hey guys, I was just wondering how long can liquid fertilizers stay on the shelf? Do the chemicals in them deteriorate over time, and how long does it take? Well, to answer this question is a little bit of a weird one. Some fertilizer companies are making specific gravity type stuff that needs to be held in like a refrigerator. So if it does get warm or whatnot, it will end up breaking down and having problems. And I've experienced that in the past, but a lot of companies now have figured out how to stabilize it so that there's no light getting inside the bottle, that kind of stuff. Like if you see If you see the Easy Green, from the Aquarium Co-op, that one has like a real dark colored bottle. Seachems has that like solid white bottle, stuff like that. So the light is not penetrating to get in there. From what I understand, the light was the big issue. I know that there's some that, like I said, needed to be refrigerated and may still need to be refrigerated, but I know the technology has gotten a lot better in the last couple of years, and I guess from my understanding, one of the big issues was light getting in and kind of messing with the fertilizer over time was really causing it to have problems. So, but I think they've amended that. And one of the easy ways that they amended that was actually just using non-see-through bottles along with suspending it in a different way. So although if you do have a really old bottle of fertilizer, I wouldn't recommend to use it. So if you have something that's like 2, 3, 4 years old, something like that, I just wouldn't use it. I would just get a new bottle, mainly because of, the cost versus the possible detriment that could be there. I'm not saying there is a detriment, but there could be a problem. It could be a problem with using something really old. All right. Hopefully that answered that question. I think. Jam Nation was saying, yeah, that was my question. So hopefully I answered it. It looks like you're here. So how cool is that? That serendipitous, right? Let's see. Brian CZ was asking if Schwisky Vision is Jimmy. Yes, that is Jimmy of the Aquarium Co-op, if you're wondering. He does a lot of cool shows on the Schwisky Vision now that are sort of more photography and film related type stuff. He's answering questions for people and helping people out, like maybe you have a camera question or like a f-stop question, or maybe if you want to look at some lenses and you're trying to figure out what's going on, he could definitely help out with a lot of that stuff, which is pretty awesome. Oh, what happened? I think all the Mabu crew drink Mr. Brown's. Yeah, I do, but I'm drinking my own brew here because I'm trying to save money for a new camera. It's my goal. It's my goal, and I'm focused. My goal is to focus on a new camera. So I'm just gonna keep working towards it, and we'll see how long it takes me to get there. I might have to take some suspect contracts. Kevin Keenan was asking, do I keep bees or am I planning to? I plan to keep bees again. One of the reasons we moved down to, we bought our house down here is to be able to keep bees. The last place we lived at was no dice. They wouldn't let us keep bees there. Hopefully we're going to get 2 hives this year, 2 small honeybee hives. Vicky and I are kind of planning on that. Although it's not that it's low on the list, it's lower on the list than things that really need to be done. So it's not like a pressing issue that we need to do it. It's something that we want to do. So, whether or not that's going to happen, we'll see. So, Dan Squires wants a new camera too, and he's going to race me. What do I win if I don't? Well, I mean, like, what's the yeah, like, does somebody win something? I don't know. I don't know. Is somebody gonna win a prize? I don't know. I could overextend myself and just buy it now, I guess, but that's not a good idea because it is the season right now, All right, Nathaniel John. Actually just posted a picture of his new beta fish, which is actually a good looking, kind of a crazy looking beta. I like it. Michael Maganino was asking This is the next Patreon question from Michael Maganino. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It says, hey, Joel, can sumps be used for multiple small tanks? If so, have any good references on how to get started with plumbing and sizing? Yes, I've certainly done this in the past, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a planted tank or anything like that. You do have to bear in mind it is all the same water column, because obviously it's all the same water coming from down in the sump down below. So if you do have like a sickness in one tank, or let's say you're trying to stock different tanks with different fish and all that kind of stuff, you could end up with a problem. And one of the biggest problems that I've seen in the past is that people kind of forget that it's running off of all one system. And they'll like forget to quarantine their fish before they go adding them to that tank. That would be a big issue to always remember. How to get started with plumbing and sizing. I mean, I know I have a lot of old videos of me like drilling tanks, and I think there's even some old videos of mine where I did a triptych reef tank, which is 1, 2, 3 tanks all in a row running off of the same sump, which was a pretty fun little project until one of the tanks broke. A big rock fell over inside there and it snapped the side of the tank. But as far as sizing goes, that is a long discussion realistically that comes into plumbing and stuff, but you can definitely find some resources via Google search. And the easiest way to search would be if you're looking for plumbing and then how many gallons per hour you're looking to move. So once you figure out like, oh, I've got a 40-gallon tank and I want to turn over 600 gallons an hour, right? You can figure out what size your overflow needs to be and then what size your return line needs to be. For me, it's kind of like I just go bigger's better. I don't know, most everything I do. And one of the big reasons for that is nowadays I use instead of an AC pump, I actually use a DC pump, which is tunable. So you can actually turn it up, turn it down, and it uses a lot less wattage. But we'll actually be talking about DC pumps next week. So if you guys want to talk about return pumps and that kind of stuff, the Monday show would be a great time to talk about that, because I had to order a new pump to get the 60-gallon going, and it is not flooded yet. I wish it was flooded, but I'm just not there yet. I've had a bunch of stuff to do. I've been super busy, and the day that I had like kind of set aside to get all that stuff done, I realized that like, oh, wait a minute, that pump is in Vicky's tank. I didn't have a pump. So it's going to have to kind of wait. And hopefully I'll have it done on Monday. And Monday's show will be like the sweet reveal. Rumbust was asking, it's a Rumbust question again. Was asking, so we lost one of our new honey gourami when it jumped out of the quarantine tank. I've immediately lowered the water level. We've got no lid on this tank and no quick way to get/make one. So the question is, how high can they jump? Okay, so my first piece of advice, if you have a quarantine tank and you're concerned about them jumping, one of the reasons it might have jumped is as people walk by, or if it's like low to the ground or something like that, as you walk by with your feet. I know I just saw the Bearded Fish Keeper in the chat. We were actually talking about this yesterday because his high up tank, he actually is going to be swapping that out to a shrimp tank because the fish were being a little bit stressed out, probably just because of the angle as people walk by and stuff like that. What I would recommend first and foremost would be to kind of black out the tank. If you could get something that's actually just going to black out so the fish can't see out, that would help and discourage them from getting freaked out and jumping. The fish at some point in time will jump sometimes. Mellow Moogle says plastic wrap lids. Yeah, if you got some plastic wrap in your kitchen, that would actually be a fairly easy way to make a lid pretty quickly. Even though you said you don't have a quick way to get or make one, that actually is one that maybe wouldn't have crossed your mind. Maybe even some tin foil or something, something like that, just to, if they do jump, to pop back in. But as I said, I would kind of black out the tank, mainly because typically the quarantine tank is always in some kind of weird location, and it may or may not have something that's kind of spooked the fish and got them to jump. That's typically when they do it, unless we're talking about like a big arowana or something like that, which just for whatever reason have a tendency to just blast out of the tank, mainly because they think they're going to go get some food and end up on the ground, which is not good for them. Typically, they just fall back into the tank. William Terry. This is awesome. I totally dig this post right here. Totally cool. He actually took a still of the live stream video portion, highlighted. He had a plant that he had a question about, like, hey, what plant is this? And posted it up onto the community page, which is awesome. He actually took a screen grab, highlighted the thing he had a question about, and then posted it up there, which I thought was pretty darn amazing. He was actually asking, hey, what plant is this? It is the Pogostemon stellata octopus is the plant he was asking about. And like, I don't know, I couldn't ask for very much more from somebody to like take a screen grab and actually circle a thing that they're asking about and post it up there. It's pretty darn cool, realistically. Yeah, what a great way to utilize that resource. Actually works pretty good. All right, our next question comes from Morgan Newby. If you're out there, Morgan, the next question comes from you. Is asking a sumpscape. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if I'm sick or something. I've been coughing and sneezing and stuff, but who knows? Who knows what it is? Could be the retrovirus or something that's been going around. Or the neurovirus. Neurovirus. Uh-oh. Kevin Keener says 154 watching and only 80 likes. Uh-oh. People forgetting to hit the like button. Oh, no. All right, but back to the question that we got here from Morgan Newby. It was a sumpscape asking, would it be feasible to aquascape the refugium area of a sump? The idea popped into my head today listening to a previous live stream, and I Googled it, but I didn't see much for results. I think it would be neat to have something to look at when the display tank lights shut off. I've never had a sump, but if I could be done, I definitely want to design one for it. All right. Morgan Newby. Great question. And totally reasonable extension of thought. And I will say this. We tried to do some sumpscapes probably about 5 years ago. So that center part of the sump that I used to float all my excess plants and stuff like that, I thought, wow, let me make like a little freshwater refugium type deal here where I'm going to actually grow plants and stuff like that. And long story short, that portion of the sump started to turn into total chaos. I mean, it really did. It just didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. Not that it looked poor or, not that it looked bad or anything like that, but it has this weird flow where water's just going one direction all the time. And it just wasn't working the way that I wanted it to, which is why I went back to just floating plants in there and allowing, them to root feed and stuff like that while they're floating around in there. So as much as I wanted it to work out and as much as I definitely would want it to be pretty much exactly what you were talking about, like, oh, hey, I've got like an extra tank here that I could do something cool with. It basically just started catching a lot of the stuff that the sump is essentially trying to eliminate in the first place. And then it just kind of took over the space where it, the sump should just be housing all of the equipment and that kind of stuff, and sort of just kind of messed with it. Kind of just messed with the way it was supposed to operate, and I ended up stopped doing it because it just wasn't filtering the way I wanted it to, and that was that's pretty much the whole entire reason for a sump. It was to filter properly. So I tried it. Was unhappy with it. Is it impossible? No, no. I think somebody out there could probably pull it off. Maybe somebody with a little more patience than me. Maybe somebody with maybe a little more time than me or something would definitely be able to pull that off at some point. All right, and we're up to the last one from Adam D. Adam D asks, how deeply should I plant crypts? Also, can I break apart some? How to split up a crypt spiralis? How deeply should you plant crypts? I can answer this. I definitely have a bunch of videos. I have a bunch of videos that you could see me planting crypts in. I don't know where they are at this point because a lot of stuff shows up into live streams and then becomes a bit of a problem to try and locate later. But how do you plant them? Essentially, you get down to the base. There's like this little kind of rhizome type thing where the roots are all coming out. And it's not a rhizome. I forget what it... Oh, no, it is a rhizome, I think. Yeah. Right. Yeah, actually, yeah, it is a rhizome. Sorry. I'm trying to think through my head right now. Yes, it actually is a rhizome. But you want to plant them basically where the top of the leaves come down, and then there's this little white area, and then a rhizome, and then the roots going down there. You want to plant that just below the surface. You plant that just below the surface, and just get it right in there. Just plant the roots right in there, and you're going to be good to go. I plant crypts all the time, and it doesn't need to be super... doesn't need to be super deep or anything like that. Just make sure the roots are down there and don't push the rhizome down. Cryptocorin spiralis is a little bit different than most of the other crypts because it grows in these little bunch groups. And Bentley says rosette is the word I'm looking for. I think on Cryptocorin spiralis, it actually is a rhizome. It's not a rosette. I think on that one, it actually is a rhizome, and then on most of the other crypts, it's a rosette. But I could be wrong. I think that's one of the differentiations as to why when it propagates so closely. You can actually pull all those out and separate them and then replant them in other spots. Whereas most of the other types of crypts will send out a little runner, and then all of a sudden you have a new plant popping out further away. Spiralis normally grows in these like a little bunch, like a real bunch formation, as opposed to the other ones, which send out little baby shoots, little tiny baby shoots, if you know what I'm saying. All right. That seems to be all of the Patreon questions. Hopefully I answered them well enough. I think I got them well enough. Loops LA has got to get back to work. All right. Well, good luck when you get back to work. All right. I'd like to give a little shout out to my man, Bob Steenfot. He has got a whole new channel out there. He announced that last night. Apparently, he's going to keep doing fish stuff. He's going to keep doing fish stuff, but he's also becoming a rabid gamer. Mr. Steenfot is becoming a rabid gamer. So I just wanted to give him a shout and just be like, hey, if you don't know who Bob Steenfot is, check out Steenfot Aquatics, and apparently now Steenfot Gaming. But apparently he had a pretty crazy live stream last night. I guess he stayed on late. People were hanging on to him, telling him to stay stay with us. But yeah, if you guys are into gaming or whatever, I'm sure that's a fun channel that you could check out. And I know that sometimes the Schwisky Vision Jimmy is on there, and maybe some other Fish Fan people will probably be on there with him too, I would imagine. Another shout out that I'd like to give out is to Miss Candy Overhauls and Caleb Overhauls out there in, I don't know, it's probably sunshining in Montana or just snowing like crazy. But my man Caleb, my number one fan, Caleb, is been going through treatment for leukemia at the ripe old age of 7. And this week, and all the weeks out there, he's definitely in our thoughts, our prayers, and also I just posted a GoFundMe into the chat. If you guys want to check that out, feel free to take a look at it. It's a couple years old. It's a GoFundMe that's been up there for a long time. They're still going through treatment. Here we are, treatment, a couple years later. There's a lot going on. And so if you want to give a chance to look at that, share it out with somebody or anything like that, then it would be much appreciated. It'd be much appreciated if we can't motivate some of that stuff. I know I was having some conversations recently with people from outside the country that were asking, it's like, I don't understand why he doesn't have insurance. And, it's one of those things that I think a lot of parts of the world think that America is just like the super easy place to live in, and this is just one of those examples that people don't normally hear about. A lot of people are considered uninsured, or they have no insurance, and you got to pay. You got to pay in the United States, and that's a problem. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that this kind of stuff still happens in 2018, but it is, and that's what's going on. So whether or not I like it or whether or not I think it's a good thing, it's just a reality. It's the reality that has to be dealt with. So that's what's up. If you feel like you want to help them, totally cool. If not, you don't have to. But you can always share it out there. That is free, and help get the word out. And hopefully we can get this. Hopefully we can get our super fan through what I would consider to be a troubling time. And always remember, surprises! Wherever Caleb is, to remember to yell surprises when you're at the grocery store, the Home Depot, the library, or any of that fun stuff. It is definitely super fun to yell surprises around if you are wearing either Superman outfit or a Speederman outfit or a Ironman outfit. So if you're an Ironman, Speederman, or Superman, feel free to yell surprises at the grocery store. It's a great way to go about your day. It's a good time. Now, we have a super chat here we must address. We have a very important super chat to address before we go to the video portion. Currently, we have 178 people watching today, which is amazing. Thank you very much for everybody showing up. Let me just clean off the camera here a little bit. All right. Before we go to this super chat, we have a super chat from John Bear's Fish Room. Awesome. Thank you very much, John Bear, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. The comment is, thank you for helping me get my tank clean. You know what? I didn't clean your tank. You cleaned your tank. But I appreciate the super chat. Ha! You did it. You cleaned it. Congratulations to you, and I appreciate your hard work. I appreciate your cool emails that you guys send me. Hopefully I get to see a picture of your tank fairly soon. Send that out to me, and thanks. But nice work. Hey, I bet your fish appreciate it. I know all your I'm sure all your plants do, and or whatever you got in there. I don't know. I'm gonna find out. It's still a mystery, and I'm in suspense, and I can't wait. Let's see here. We got a $5 super chat we need to address. You guys, we have a $5 super chat we need to address, and it's from Potato. It's from one potato. Two potato. Three potato. Oh, no, 5 potato. Nice. Thank you very much. Potato says, I'm trying to reduce the number of fish I keep to save space, but why do I keep buying more large fish that take up more space? My man, I don't know. I don't know why you're doing that. You just get super excited about fish like I do, and it's probably one of the reasons I keep questioning myself as to why the killifish are in my fish room when I gotta set up a whole new tank to get them moved to. But that's the 60 gallon, so maybe I'm getting there. But then I was looking at all the panda gars yesterday, and they are awesome. And then, but then I also was thinking. This crossed my mind, and I know it's gonna piss off a bunch of people. All my saltwater people. It crossed my mind the other day that I might want to get rid of the reef. I don't know. It's crossed my mind. I'm still thinking about it. I like my reef. I like all the stuff going on there, but I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I got to figure it out. Because it's a waste of time to be thinking about it, and I got to just figure it out. But thanks, Potato, for the $5 super chat. I don't know why you keep buying more fish. I wish I had an answer for that, but you know, I'm always doing that kind of stuff too. And says, by the way, a $500 super chat equals 300 letters. Oh, okay. I wonder how he figured that out. I guess maybe you could look that up, or something. I don't know. But I know Corey and I were talking about that yesterday. Let's see. Billy Kettner said, yelled surprises at the grocery store, and they asked me to leave. Maybe I'll wear clothes next time. That's pretty good. You should probably always wear clothes to the grocery store. It's probably whether you're yelling surprises or not. Potato says, move the reef to the 60 cube and rehome the larger fish. Well, that hadn't crossed my mind, but now I have the substrate in the 60 cube. So I don't know if I want to move the reef over there. But I'll think about it. I'll consider it. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. I'll get to that some point of time. But we are at the time where we go to the video segment. And so let's go to the video segment. All right. So, here's what came in the mail today. Actually, it came in the mail yesterday. And I wanted to start this out. Where did it? Oh. Did I not show off the box? What happened? I thought I had showed off the box. Oh, I don't know. Well, shoot. I thought I had showed off the box at the beginning of the video, but apparently that portion of the video is not here, so hopefully nothing accidentally got in here. But check that out. He accidentally sent me a little piece of Glosso. Yeah. So we like a little extra Glosso in our lives, don't we? We like Glosso. And, hey, little piece of Glosso. I don't have any Glosso, so I'm going to see if I can grow some from that one little stem. These plants came from Drew Schmidt, and Drew sent them in. He mailed them to the Aquarium Co-op. And then Robert over there gave me a call and was like, hey, bud, you got a box here. It says your name on it. And so he sent them care of Corvus, and everyone there knows if you see a box for me to just set it aside. So it's a great way to ship me stuff like this. I have to say, he sent me a ton of rosefolia. Pretty wild how much Renekii he sent. I mean, you call it rosefolia? Do you call it Renekii? Either way, it's the same plant. It's Alternanthera renekii is the Latin name for it. He sent me a gigantic bundle of it, and he also sent me an email saying, "Oh no, I didn't put a heat pack in it. I hope everything's not dead." Well, there is no frost here. It's not super frozen here. It's just kind of cold. Heat packs for plants really not super necessary at this time of year. He was shipping it up from Utah to Washington. Not really necessary. It's not that's not all frozen out there right now. Even though it could be, like if I was mailing something to Maine or something like that, it would be a good idea to look at the weather and see what it's going to be like. You might need to put heat packs in, but it's pretty rare these days that you definitely like have to put a heat pack in as just like a regular consumer. It's pretty important for stores and stuff like that to put heat packs in because they're shipping via a different mailman. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but as a consumer, like just a regular old Joe like me, go down to the postal service and drop off my box. It's typically going to be like inside the post office for a little while. They're going to keep it there. Then they're going to pop it on a truck, take it to a plane, or ship it on a truck or whatever, however it's going to get there. Bentley Pascal says, bad news bears for the shrimp. What happened? Trying to down says, anywhere with the tank space for very allocated breeding shrimp. Well, you know, if there's extra shrimps ever, Mr. Potato, I know a guy who will take care of them for you. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. I thought something bad was happening. But like I was talking about with the post office, is that, you know, as an everyday average Joe, you know, they're normally, you know, the box is normally kept in the post office and then hops on a truck or whatever or a plane and heads out to wherever it's going to go. So it's not like a super big ordeal to have a heat pack, but as a store, it's definitely important to do that because it goes through a different process of being shipped and oftentimes will like sit outside for long periods of time. But if you are going to ship to somebody, it's good to check and see how cold it is, where they're going to be at. I have seen a bunch of videos this year where people are just thunking their frozen plants on a table or something, you know. So that is going to be important. But, you know, as a person to person, it's pretty easy to they move around pretty quickly when you're only shipping just the one box. It actually does move around pretty quick. So wouldn't be super stressed out about it. Unless you're sending it places where there's like a deep freeze. So, but either way, they showed up here looking pretty darn good. You guys will notice I'm doing something weird in a blue bucket here. What am I doing? You guys, does anybody know what I'm doing? Uh-oh, what was that? That was some kind of weird chemical I put in there. What was that? I'm setting these plants aside with a little Pimafix, Melifix, and things of that nature because I don't want to pass on any fungus or weird bacteria that could have come up and grown over the time that it was shipping. So I'm gonna put them in there, and through the power of editing, it skipped out the 10 minutes that there was in that mix. And Michael R. Hartley says H2O2 dip. Yes, there is a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in there also. That would be the other one. Pimafix, Melifix, and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. Put those in there for about 10 minutes. And like I said, through the power of editing, you guys didn't have to sit and stare at it for 10 minutes, right? Famous Jones says, getting rid of pest snails. Well, the unfortunate thing is I have enough crazy snails showed up in all my tanks already. So snails are kind of the least of my concern at this junction. The pond snails are showing up. Worst case scenario, I'll bag them all up and take them up to Corey's and feed them to the pufferfish there, like ladybird. So it's not that big of a deal at this point. I'm not super concerned about pond snails that often. The one snail that really I'd be worried about is like rabbit snails probably or something like that, but not a huge ordeal realistically. BC Fishroom says, I would have stared at it for 10 minutes. The hydrogen peroxide does kind of affect the snails to a certain degree, but I don't want to go super crazy messing with these plants because I I just want to get him transitioned and get him in. I just wanted to make sure there was no I just want to make sure there was no real crazy bacteria or fungus on them. Those are going to be the big concerns that I have going forward. Chris One is asking salt. Salt is actually a great way to dip the plants temporarily for instead of doing 10 minutes though, I would only do it for 5 because it will start to affect the plants if you leave them in there a little too long. It could be problematic. Chris One says H2O2 peroxide to burn them all alive. Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't be like I said, I'm not super concerned about snails these days. It's pretty easy for me to keep track of the pond snails. I do have ram's horns and Malaysian trumpet snails in all of my tanks too, so I don't want to proliferate too hard on you know, trying to kill snails, because I do have a lot of beneficial snails. So, and then worst case, if I really did get a bunch of pond snails that were way out of whack, as I said, I would probably throw in a chunk of food, and then after an hour or something like that, come back in and net them out and take them up to the coop and feed them to ladybirds. So they'd be useful in that application, right? So either way, not super stressed out personally. Famous Jones is asking, what type of light does it require? It does need some good directional light. That's going to be something that's pretty important to it. It doesn't need a... you know, lighting is a little bit different now, even though a lot of people are still sticking to the adage of whether or not it's highlight, medium light, or low light. If you're on LEDs, it is pretty directional light, so it actually is going to supply a lot of the parenthetic usable radiation, the PUR, right? To your plants, because of the LEDs being so directional, that it does work fairly well to, you know, even do a red plant like this that's gonna with air quotes need a lot of highlight. The LEDs now are pretty darn effective. I will say this: I'm super happy with the Fluval 2.0s that I'm using in the fish room now after the upgrade from all of the mismatched weird lights that I have. And then I realized that Fluval is coming out with the 3.0 light, which I'm about 100% stoked to get an opportunity to try that. As we know, Fluval's tripping. They've never even sent me a reef light. After all these years of saying that Fluval's tripping, years and years in the darkness, talking about Fluval tripping, they never even sent me a reef light. So I'm not thinking that they're going to send me a Fluval 3.0, you know? But I am pretty excited to try that one out. One of the big reasons is that one of the big differences is that the wavelength will actually be 6500K instead of 7500K, which I'm a little enthusiastic to try side by side, because I do have big enough tanks to like put one on either side and see how they work against each other. You know, Dank Tank says it's settled. They still tripping. But yeah, I don't know. I really like their product in that light. Like I said, I'm excited to give a try for the 3.0, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see it or not. Dan Squire saying, so I noticed you strip the bottom leaves and remove the skin from the outside of the stem. Is this right? Does it help it to root? So I'm actually removing the... Oh, he says outside. Oh, I'm not removing the outside from the stem. I'm actually removing the bottom portion of the stem. So I'm more or less highlighting the tops here. It's pretty hard to see in the video, but there are a lot of aerial roots have begun from the top of the of the plants there, and the extra stem isn't going to help with any of the rooting process. So I'm actually removing that extra bit of stem off of the bottom, so not have a nice clean cut there at the bottom. And when I go to plant it, it won't be all super weird and long, which will actually work though. Which actually, in my experience, makes it work out pretty well. And all of the leaves that I'm removing are just sort of the excess leaves, plus some of the leaves that sort of, they just kind of melt off a little bit during travel and stuff like that. Just getting those out of the way. There's a little preview there of the new pump for the 60-gallon here. So I do have a fair bit of the scape in this video right now. Oh, so hold on. Let me shoot. Let's pause the video for a second, and we'll put it right. Where's a good spot? That's a decent spot. It's not the worst spot I've ever seen. So we'll pause the video right there, and we'll have it there to do that. If anybody has any more questions for the plants, we'll get ready to move on to the 60-gallon cube. And I would like to make note, you see that Sierra stone in the back of the picture there? I'm so excited to put that into the 150. I'm so excited. But I made a deal with myself that I wouldn't start doing the Sierra stone into the 150 until the 60 was up and running. And the Achilles were in there doing their killie thing. So I made a deal with myself, so we have to wait until that is done in order to get that Sierra stone moved in. But I am so excited. I'm so excited about how that 150 is going to be. And special thanks to the Aquarium Co-op for hooking up some rock work to your boy here. Your boy. That's me. Your boy. Right? Excuse me. All right, I had to get some coffee so we get ready for the 60-gallon cube here. All right, it didn't take much because I have most of the hardscape in place, and I know Swift Aquatics was super excited to see me add some bases to this columnar basalt. But after cutting the bases off with my tile saw, I actually used a wet saw in one of the live streams a little while ago to cut the bases off of those rocks that are sticking up super tall. See, those are like about 2 feet tall, right? But they're actually sitting nice and flat, and I just decided, you know what, making the bases is just going to be like a whole bunch of overkill, and it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be a game changer either way, and I don't know if it's really going to be that big of a help for anybody to be like, yeah, you could put a base on your rocks. I think a lot of people that are thinking about putting crazy rocks in their tank probably think, hey man, maybe there's like a weird base thing that I could put on this, and then I more or less end up figuring something out. But I will at some point probably do a video where I add some bases to a rock again. But as I've mentioned before in this, yeah, so all the rock in here is basalt. There's that nice columnar basalt, which is those black pieces, and then I have a couple of pieces of serpentinized green basalt, which is that one on the very left there, and then one in the front, and then I have 6 pieces of that. Those are the 2 bigger ones, and then I have 4 little ones after that are going to be added to this when I plant. But I wanted to get all the substrate in here and get this thing ready, for flooding, and then I can add over the other plants or I can add over the other rocks and do all the planting and stuff, which I'm pretty excited to do. But I do need to add a couple of baffles to the sump, and then it'll be ready to rock and roll with that new pump. But I will do a short video of the pump and the plumbing that will be going into this. If you guys notice, I got what kind of looks like a brand new shiny aquascaping tool in this. I'd pay attention this weekend, Saturday, I think, Saturday or Sunday. I haven't decided yet which day. Sunday is the Super Bowl, so I don't know if I'll release a new video in competition with the Super Bowl. Maybe yeah, maybe no. I'm not sure. It just seems like I'd be competing with a lot, right? Ow. What is wrong with my finger here? What's going on? Oh, I have a splinter. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my finger. It's feeling weird. I have a splinter. Haha. There's something to do after the show, you guys. Get that splinter out of my finger. Get to work on that painting. Get to render in a video. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. Yeah, pay attention over this weekend. I'm going to talk about these aquascaping tools that I'm actually using here to scape. This isn't part of the video, but I just wanted to get this thing. I kind of wanted to just use this little trowel thing before it gets lost and thrown away. I guess it was useful. I don't know. But to you guys, I would say one of the things I've been working on is trying to incorporate the Fluval Stratum and the Fluorite Black are two, like one's like a dark charcoal and one's like kind of brownish black. They're different shades of black. So what I've been trying to do is work with the different shades of black to try and get some contrast to the areas that I'm going to keep planted, and not let them just be all mixed up, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of what I've been working on right now as far as substrating between these two substrates, is that to kind of fill an area with the two contrasting colors. And I mean, maybe call it a walkway or something like that. I don't know. But just to kind of give the scape a little bit of a space where things are coming down through the middle. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on with this aquarium here, is keeping the all of the tall plants and all that stuff to the sides, right? And then all of what would be considered the foreground plants are actually going to be in the middle of that aquarium. So it's a bit of a different style than my usual, but isn't that the whole reason I like setting up a new tank, is like do something that is a little bit different than you normally do. So as I mentioned, it's going to kind of be low in the middle and then work its way up to the outsides. So instead of going front to back, it's actually going to go from center to the sides. So that'll be the long-term plan with the scape on this one, which is once it gets planted, that'll actually kind of, hopefully it'll look right, but it'll probably take a little while for it to grow in, and then people go like, oh, I see what you're really going on. All right, what's going on now? Schwisky Vision says, yeah, I will be releasing more videos. I have a new work schedule. I have Wednesdays off too now. Maybe Schwisky Vision and I got to go hiking on a Wednesday or something. Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy's got a new schedule. Let's catch up with the chat here a little bit. Other than that, trying to see what's going on. Thomas Fehrenbach in my 150-gallon reef pH 8, DKH 8.5, CA 535 part per million, nitrate 0, phosphate 0.25. Having a problem with red slime. What would you do? Oh, Thomas. Red slime is something with your water change water. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with your water change water. 99.99999 times out of 100, getting red slime in a reef is something is going in when you do your water change. When you mix your new salt water, something is getting added in. So I would check your Rhodey filter. Something could be going on with your Rhodey filter. Something could be not working properly. But like I said, 99.99 times out of 100, when something red is going on in an aquarium like red slime, that means something is going into the tank when you're getting your water changes ready. Something's going on. Something is going on. I don't know what, but something normally is getting added in when you're mixing your salt water. So that's what I would check on first. If you check on that, I would get back to me. You could always email me. Yeah, I would shoot me an email, and then we can figure it out probably from there or something along those lines. But if your water change water is coming in perfectly clean, then I would double check which. First off, what I would do is I would check the salt and make sure that the salt mix is what the salt mix is advertised to be. You might be using a salt that has something weird going on with it. I would double check the internet to make sure that whatever batch of salt that you got doesn't have anything weird accidentally got into it. And yeah, but those would be the things that I would check. Almost every time when it's red, it's something with the water change. DMC of the Sea rescaped my 20 long today. I think I'm tired of trimming the water wisteria and stem plants that would grow any stem plants that would grow a bit slower you could recommend. Well, I could recommend the rosefolia that I got earlier. Most stem plants are pretty quick, and you're going to have to be trimming them, but some of the crazier Ludwigias actually grow a little more reasonable. If not more reasonable, it's like way easier to cut the top off, replant it, and then trim that whole stem and get that out. If you're doing Ludwigia, that does have a tendency to make that a lot easier. Because the trimming process is so much easier, and you're not worried about throwing out the middle part. Oh, then a bunch of people left. Talked about reef stuff for a minute, and everybody ran out. Oh, during the show, we have a brand new patronizer during the show. Billy Kettner. Billy Kettner with the $1 pledge. Thank you very much, man. That all goes right back into producing stuff and making all this production stuff happen. So anybody out there that was excited about all of the crazy live streams we did with like Rob and Aquapros and the Bearded Fish Keeper and all those guys, if anybody was like super excited about that stuff, here's what I need you guys to do. So I need you guys to kind of like blow those up a little bit and be like, hey man, we need to do more of these. Like I understand that like at the time that they came out, it was like super easy to like throw a comment on there or any of that kind of stuff. But here we are like a week and a half, 2 weeks later. Now would be a great time to like share one of those out or any of that kind of stuff, because now it's had time to kind of like settle down, and then now would be a great time to throw it up. And, kind of like give a shout out or like throw comments or like email those guys or I don't know, message them or whatever, any of that kind of stuff. Oh, and there's Bob Steenfot. He says, I heard my name. What's up, dude? Uh-oh, Bad Bob's here. That's okay, Bob. We can be bad here. I mean, to a certain degree. Not totally crazy, but we can be bad here. It's all right. It's all right, man. Gone Mad says Iris had to lower her Patreon. Yeah, no problem with that. That's we've had, when people have to lower it and they let me know, totally cool. I mean, hey, if you have to lower it because you don't like what I'm doing, it'd be great to know that. If you have to lower it because, I've seen from a bunch of people, like, it's like, oh, I lost my job, or I'm changing jobs, or going back to school, or this or that or the other thing. If it's bad news, I hope it gets better. And if it's good news, then, hey, cool. Chris one is asking, do you use Osmocote fertilizer on setup under the substrate? No, absolutely not. I don't know who thought or where somebody decided to say that I use Osmocote under the substrate. I do not. I do not use Osmocote under the substrate. I don't know whoever. It's like some kind of weird internet rumor has gotten out there. I do not use Osmocote. So people have asked me that numerous occasions over the past couple months, and I don't know where they're getting that from, but no, I do not do that. What I do under my substrate from time to time is Montmorillonite clay. which is actually a powdered clay and can easily be found on Amazon. I don't even know who makes it. It's actually just a type of clay from. I believe they're harvesting it in southern Utah, is I think where they get it. They grind it up, and then it works out. It works out pretty well to add some of the added like micronutrients and things like that have a definite that aquariums end up like having a shortage of a lot of those micronutrients over certain periods of time, and I find that it is a great way to supply some of that down into the from underneath the substrate without messing up the water column or anything like that over time. Oh, Steenfot saying, you've seen me with a $5 super chat saying, I've seen Joel use Osmocote, I swear. I think I put some in my coffee. I think I put some in my coffee when we were up there. I've used Osmocote plenty of times in my garden, but I would not use it personally in an aquarium ever. I think we tried it out like probably 5 years ago or something like that, and it was an immediate disaster. It was just like an immediate bad news situation. So it never really was a huge question in my head whether or not it would be a good idea to use it in the future. So I just never went. I never went with it. Randy Hightower says Mark's shrimp tanks uses that clay quite a lot as well. Yep, it's a great thing. I've been using it for a really long time, and whether it's safe or not is a pretty short question, because it's one of the only like organic additives that's not super weird. It's one of the additives in makeup that is not super weird or creepy. So there actually isn't anything wrong with the montmorillonite. But yeah, I use that quite a bit as my base underneath my substrate, and it helps out quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, right now it's the mods versus the YouTubers. But either way, don't put Osmocote in your aquarium. What's bad about it? Everything's bad about it. It's not good. It's for use in your garden. It's not for use in your aquarium. You're gonna send a ton of stuff up into the water column. That's gonna be an ongoing, serious problem, and yeah, you just have an overall disaster in there. Let's see. Okay, so we went through that. We answered all the Patreonizers' questions. Well, the Patreon questions that were left over. This is what's going on in the 60-gallon cube, right? I think we got that pretty handled. I think we also know what the substrate is. We know what the rocks are. Everybody knows what the wood is. So that's not a big deal. And then we want to go over here and check this and double check what's going on here. All right. Looks pretty good. I'm looking through it. It seems like almost everything we got. A lot of people hitting me up for like YouTube type design things and things like that. So I've gotten a couple of requests that I turned away, and there's one that I actually am going to do at one point in time. But if you have like a YouTube design thing that you need done, I would hit up Priscilla MK. I would hit her up first. She is much better at that than I am. I don't know who she did. I think she did Bob Steenfot's. I might be wrong, but I think she did Bob's amongst some other. Amongst a bunch of other people. But if somebody's looking for a logo, I'm not your guy. Go to somebody like Priscilla. She'll be able to really take care of you a lot more effectively than I can. So I would go to that and check that out. Seems like we got all of the stuff handled with whatnot. Susan for SLC Aquatics is here. asking how I'm doing. I'm doing well, Susan. How are you? Well, I think we hit all of the things that we wanted to hit for the show. So I think for the last little bit here, we're just going to be kind of freestyle and answer some questions out of the chat. So if you got a question for me, throw it in there, and we'll try to get to it as best we can. John Bear's Fish Room is asking, can you glue Anubias to stuff? Yes, absolutely. I do that all the time. I constantly glue Anubias to things every day of the week. And I have to say, when I was escaping an aquarium earlier this week, right? I was escaping an aquarium earlier this week, and I was using some what I would consider insufficient glue. But if you are looking to glue something, I actually have some here because this question comes up a lot. DAP Rapid Fuse all-purpose adhesive. This is the one that you want. This is the one right here. It's this little light baby blue bottle. Baby blue bottle. That's the one that you want, the DAP. This one is gangster, works really well than the one I was using earlier this week, and I'm not going to say what the other one is because that doesn't matter because this is the one that you want. But the other one I was using this week was not all that fantastic. It wasn't that great. It just wasn't coming through as well as this one does. But yes, you can definitely glue Anubias to things all the time. You can definitely glue it to wood. I do all the time. If you've seen my 150-gallon shrimp tank, that's how I placed a lot of those Anubias that are making that big giant tree formation that's in there and stuff like that. Along with the Physodins on the other side of the tank is all glued to the wood and kind of making its own little crazy situation over there, right? Which is it's coming along great. Let's see. Or does it have to be tied? It does not have to be tied. I love gluing stuff. I love gluing plants to stuff. It's so much easier than tying it. Tying it makes me freak out and have a problem. Quinn Mallory, lol, my wife knows of Patreon, but she has no idea we are Patreons. We are patrons. Shh. Oh, okay. Shh. 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 Okay, sorry. Shh. Shh. We'll be real quiet about Patreon. Hey, everybody, go sign up for Patreon. All right, let's see here. As I read through the questions. Barbara Jackson says, Bob's back from the dead. PUBG death, that is. Oh, Chris saying, thank you, Joel. It was not an accusation. No, I didn't think it was an accusation, but I've gotten that question a lot about the Osmocote recently. And I'm not like 100% sure why people have been asking me that, because I was like, I think people were saying it one of the streams that we were in that was like that I had recommended that at some point, and I was like, no, I don't think so. Chris one saying Bucafelandra also is an extra slow grower. Yeah, this is a pretty slow grower. I can't think of any other stem plants that are super slow growers. Most stem plants are pretty quick, pretty fast growers. Quinn Mallory saying, hey, Joel, I just got a 33-gallon long. Oh, that's the 48 by 13. Woohoo! How many pea puffers could I put in? I'm hoping the long tank would allow for more territories. Honestly, if you're going to do like a large group of pea puffers, realistically, you want to make sure that you have like kind of a lot, honestly. Like a 33-gallon like that, I would probably think at least like 20. Because it will help mitigate the aggression if it's all kind of spread out, right? Between those pea puffers, they'll kind of just be like, oh, yeah, there's other pea puffers here, whatever. Eventually, they'll kind of just figure out, all right, we're all here, you know. If you have like 3 or 5, they'll like pick on one and one and get beat up too much, and you'll end up losing them. So that would be kind of a good thing to do. Barbara Jackson's asking, have you ever saved an Anubias that had Anubias rhizome rot? I believe I have, but it was more in the term of like I just cut the whole rotten area off and let the rest grow. That seems to be the only way to treat it. Just seems to be the only way to really get it treated. P Guy is here. Thanks for the laugh last night. I didn't see it that way when I first set up my account. Lol. P stands for Paul. Hey, P Guy. What's going on, P Guy? Oh, sorry, Paul Guy. Paul Guy. Hashtag P Guy. Hashtag no pie. Wait. Hashtag no P. Yeah, exactly. Right? Ella Gregory is here. What's up? I adopted a big Oscar, and he seems like he's having problems seeing. I've been feeding him by hand. Do you have any ideas what I can do to keep him from having to feed him by hand? Well, you can let him get hungrier, and he'll definitely come find it. So maybe if you skip a day between feeding, it'll probably be a little more. If he is having problems seeing, that's just going to be a problem with him seeing. So I would think about what you can do to treat maybe the reason that he can't see. Otherwise, I would consider, like waiting a day between feedings, and that would probably help out quite a bit with essentially just kind of making him hungrier and a little more aggressive to come for his food. That's pretty much what I would do. If that's what was going on. But I would treat for the not being able to see for whatever's going on. Sal Sanchez says, I saw a new one out in the open and they had no interest. I guess I'll have to starve them. I'm confused now. Okay, here we go. Sal Sanchez says, how do I get my guppies to eat their fry? I went from 30 to 30 plus. Sal, what? How do I get my guppies to eat their own fry? Okay, so this is a little bit odd. Guppies will eat fry, yes. But generally speaking, guppies will only eat fry within like the first half an hour to maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. But just that first initial brand new fry, they're basically, and what most people are speculating is that they're kind of covered in, they're basically covered in like embryonic fluid, essentially. So like maybe the blood from the afterbirth, however you want to look at it, from them being born, and it just makes the other guppies think they smell like food. And once that washes off, then the guppies just kind of go, oh yeah, that's another guppy. I don't eat guppies. Except for when they're like super babies and they smell like food. But yeah, that's what I don't know why you would want them to for sure eat their young, but I would try to avoid that and grow up some guppies, and then you're going to have like tons of guppies, which is dope, right? Randy Hightower, have you ever grown Anubias immersed? Is it worth the extra work to grow out small Anubias for planting? Typically, no. I have grown them immersed. Oftentimes, Anubias can be fully converted to dirt plants in your house. So you could have like a potted plant that actually is an Anubias, and you'd be like, check it out, baller. That's Anubias Nana. What up? And then somebody would be like, wow, you're so smart. And you'd be like, yeah, that's right. Super smart. But, yeah, you could. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily worth the time to grow a lot of Anubias immersed. I mean, they don't grow that much faster. They just grow a lot healthier. I mean, they do grow faster. It's not like I would say that they grow fast. I would say that they definitely grow like a little bit healthier. They're just a little bit. They won't have any fungus on them or anything crazy like that they could get underwater. And I guess they do grow faster, but it just is a lot easier to sell them if you're going to grow them that way. But if you're like me and you just have like a little setup, like a fish room or something like that, it definitely is not going to be cost effective to grow them. If you think you're going to like sell them or something like that, it's not a great way to go about it. You're going to have to set up a huge system and be able to farm thousands and thousands and thousands of them, which is possible. You just definitely going to have to get that set up. Mary Beth Mabe says, LG3 Nation. I don't know what the beginning part is, but it might sound weird to do, but would Anubius grow fine glued to the tank wall? Yes, and that is not that weird. That is not that weird to do. I did that, I don't know, a few years ago. I did moss walls. I did Java moss walls. I did Christmas moss walls, and I did a Anubius wall at one point in time. It's not that weird. It is possible. And it can come out really good. Mine always just kind of came out looking like, yeah, the back's got plants on it. Or if I did like a moss or a Christmas moss wall or whatever, it's like, yeah, the back wall has like plants on it, but now it's covered in poop. And now I'm going to have to clean the poop out of moss. And then I'd have to trim the moss, and then I'd have little trimmings of moss everywhere. It was just, yeah, so it was kind of one of those things. I'm like, I'm just going to leave the background black and just let it be that way for me. For me. Barbara Jackson says, so the Anubius go from a snail pace to everyone, or Eeyore pace immersed. Yes, pretty much that's the thing. It sort of goes from like super slow growing to like, oh yeah, I guess it's growing. But it is cool once, especially with like Cafolea. Cafolea would be a good one for a house plant if you did have like a chunk that you cut off and you wanted to grow in a pot or something like that. Cafolea gets super big when it's grown immersed and makes a great house plant. LG3 Nation here. I just set up a 29 gallon and planning on just keeping cherry shrimp in there. I love shrimp. Okay. That's not a question, man. But a fantastic statement. I dig it. That's dope. I like hearing when people are starting up new shrimp tanks. Let's see here. So scroll back a little bit. Jason Britz, what's up, Jason? How you doing? Is asking, cribs or apistos? Which do you prefer and why? Gosh, I really like them both. We have both in the fish room. But I would say right now, definitely apistogrammas, mainly because there are so many different varieties of them. So I want to get some of the flame cockatoides, some of the cockatoides flame variety, because I have the double, what are they? The double flash orange ones. Double orange? Orange flash. There we go. I want to get some of the double reds and mix them with the orange flash apistos that I have right now. But I don't want to set up, I didn't want to set up my quarantine tank yet. So I'm setting that up so I don't have to set up my quarantine tank, basically, is what I'm doing. So, but yeah, I would say right now, apistos I'm definitely more into, mainly just because of how many more varieties there are. Yes, I know there are lots of varieties of cribs, but so many more available apistos right now that I'm a little more excited about those ones. Yeah, we get a little. Sashimi Whiskey was asking if we remember any of the word of the day for it being giant. Brodignian was the giant Brodignian word. Let's see here. Ponsky, don't usually catch you live. I'm in the UK, but I'm up at 00:30 and was enticed by the Resner-esque thumbnail. I guess the thumbnail must be up now, because I know it was stuck on yesterday's thumbnail for some reason. But Ponsky, awesome. Bringing you in with that thumbnail action, you know what I'm saying? Some of my moderators said that, because last week I did one with the welding goggles on, and then I thought like, dude, that's going to be the thumbnail that everyone's going to click on in the whole wide world. And nope, they didn't. So I figured I'm going to do another one just because I like doing funny thumbnails. And so I'm just going to keep doing them that way. And some of my moderators were like, dude, what are you doing? Stop doing that. Make one that people will click on. I'm like, I don't know. I got almost 700 videos up, and whether people are like this channel or not, they probably have already figured it out. So, whatever, right? There's 149 people here watching right now. A bunch of y'all left. I don't know where y'all went. Somebody else must be doing a show because it was like right around 4 o'clock. Yep. Oh, look at it. We got the little thing is back down here. Oh, wait. Hold on. What does this do? Oh, I just clicked a button. Whoa! Check this out. Peak concurrent 183 was ours today, and I have to admit, my gratitude level is super high. My gratitude level is super high. Once again today, I felt like really discouraged. I've been feeling like really sad lately, and I don't know like what it is. What it is that's got. I'm not 100% what it is that's got me feeling sad or whatever, but I'm super grateful for y'all. Showing up and showing support, showing up here to have a good time. Definitely. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all you guys showing up, and I'm super enthusiastic about how things are going. And 2018 is going to be a ton of fun. I think is going to be pretty darn good. So. A bunch of people saying Rachel O'Leary is doing a live stream. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. I don't know why. I wonder if that's like a shot across the bow. I wonder. I wonder if that's a shot across the bow going live. Uh-oh. I noticed some of the East Coast fish YouTubers were kind of freaking out on Instagram last night. I don't know if anybody else noticed that for the intrigue. Some of the East Coast people freaking out. Just freaking out. I'm not going to name names, but some of the East Coast YouTubers were kind of losing their cool on Instagram. And I thought it was a little interesting. As Billy Kettner says, as Flip Aquatics would say, Joel, you're the bomb.com. So let's see here. Okay. What is my plan? Is I'm going to flood a few local fish stores here when it becomes unmanageable. Get a few cents a piece from Quinn Mallory. Multi-tank edition at Chris 1. I adjusted it to be larger, but Google is slow to update because this is a brand account. What is going on? Turbofish says, what's it like knowing someone is watching this on a 48-inch TV? You're basically Keanu Reeves. Somebody told me a while ago, somebody sent me a screenshot that they were actually playing my live stream on a projector in somebody's bar somewhere. That was next level weird that I was like in a bar. It was like a bar or maybe a restaurant or something. I mean, it looked like a sports bar, but somebody was playing my live stream up on the big screen at the whatever establishment it was. I couldn't name it, to save my life, which is kind of weird because I was like, this seems like the wrong environment for the sober guy to be streaming into. Is like somebody's like it's somebody's bar, and but. Then again, I am kind of a grimy-looking dude, so I probably get them all to order some extra pretzels and that kind of stuff, right? So that was pretty interesting. I had to realize like people actually play this on their TV and stuff, and I'm like, got to make sure I'm looking extra fresh, extra sharp. You know what I'm saying? A little moisturizer, looking a little good. Check the bags under my eyes, because I always have these purple bags under my eyes. I don't know if anybody else really ever notices that because I wear my glasses. But, yet another reason why we got the 2K. 2K is the best that I can send it out in, but I think I'm only on 1080p now because it makes things freak out. Oh, Mike with the Swedish crowns, 50 Swedish crowns, man. Super chat action says a little something for your new camera, and we all love you with the little heart thrown on there. Oh, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys contribute in, and like I said, I'm just saving up to try and get a new camera. It's not a small amount of money. Just to let you guys know, the camera that I need is not going to be a small amount of money. So I'm going to try and figure out how to get there. I know there's some people out there that are like, that's not very much dough, bro. But for me, it's going to be a fair bit. So we're going to figure it out. We're going to get to it. And I'm super stoked. And we're definitely going to get there and make some more projects coming up and stuff like that. If I can never afford a new camera, I'll just go steal Jimmy's camera and shoot with that. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that'll work out, right? LG3 Nation says, it may be hard to believe, but I watch your live streams on my laptop. Scaredy face. I like it. All right, man. Let's see. Bracken says, Europeans are very into their liquor so much, are very into their liquor so much that even the fish people hang out in bars. I can't remember who did a fish room tour in the UK, but they met in a bar. Oh, Bracken, yeah, it's pretty common for like a lot of fish folk. It's, you know what's weird is that like for the fish keepers or whatever, I've noticed that it's one or the other. It's like one direction or the other direction. So I'm not to say that there aren't like people in the middle, but I think most of the people that I've run into in the fish fam and stuff like that are just one way or the other. That they're like, yeah, I'm totally into drinking, or oh yeah, I'm totally sober too. So whatever. But to me, it's like to each their own. It's not. I ain't ever telling anybody what to do unless somebody's like asking for fish tank advice or something like that. But if anybody ever has any like lifestyle advice or any of that kind of stuff that you need, like, or that you want to ask me questions for, you feel free to email those in case you have something that you're like, hey, look, I don't want like the whole world to know what's going on with me, but I may or may not need some advice on something. Feel free to send it to my email, joel@darkstararts.com. You can always email me any of that kind of stuff and just be like, hey, I just wanted to ask you kind of privately a question. Can you help me out with this? Feel free to send in your email, and I'll definitely get back to most people on most things. As long as it's not like, some kind of total weirdness. How do I explain it? Just send it in. I'll figure it out. Let's see. The D. Thomas CG. Have you ever tried Gayataku method of painting fish? I know it would be kind of morbid and would have to be a smaller scale for most aquarium fish, but I have a few from Hawaii and I love them. I am not familiar with that, so let me check this out. Oh, the stone impression. Let me see here. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. No, I've never actually tried that out. It's super interesting, but you're right. I mean, for aquarium fish, it would be pretty difficult with how small they are. John Bear's fish room is 9 and he drinks water. Dig it. I drink water and coffee. That's pretty much what I get down to. Somebody was asking me the other day, they were like, do you want a pop? Do you want a thing? Do you want a this? Do you want a that? And I was like, do you have coffee? And they're like, no. I'm like, can I have a water? It's like, that's such a short list. So yeah, definitely that's kind of what I'm into. But that Goya, I want to make sure I say this. Goyataku, I think is probably sort of correct. Is super awesome, and I definitely respect it. I think that's like a fantastic art form. I think one of the ways to be able to do that for these days would be, instead of like getting a dead fish and trying to do it that way, you could do something like that. Like, that's a crystal shrimp. This is essentially going to be a crystal. Yeah, let's just say it's a crystal shrimp. They're normally this big, and it's going to be. You see how big this is? Hold on. Let me put my hand on it. That's how big this is going to be. So you can get an idea about how big that painting is going to be back there. I think it would be kind of more my style to just make something like a bigger painting than that. But I definitely do appreciate it. Yeah, I see what D. Thomas is saying. You paint the fish and then you lay it on the rice paper. I find it interesting because you have to paint it backwards, but painting the top layer first and the bottom layer last to reverse the impression. Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with some of that stuff, like silk screening and those kinds of things. I've definitely done, but it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting style. I mean, it's an old style or whatever. I definitely find it interesting. I've done, like I said, I've done some silk screen and things like that that are that way. You have to kind of do them backwards. But, I've just never tried it, but I think it is pretty cool. Thomas Fehrenbach with a 555 super chat. Thank you very much, man. RODI water is 0 TDS, just checked, and I'm using Fritz RPM salt. Thinking about using Chemiclean to treat the red slime. Is it a good idea, do you think? Okay, so you must have some other imbalance going on. Hopefully you've been using Fritz salt this whole time. Fritz is a really high quality salt, although it can throw a few things out of whack if you have transitioned from a different salt. So that would be my question there. If your roadie water is 0 TDS, did you start out with something like reef crystals or something along those lines, and you're transitioning to the Fritz salt? Because if that's the case, you might need to do 100% water change at some point if you're transitioning from salt to salt. That would be the first thing that would pop up. But Chemiclean might be your go-to at this point. Chemiclean and Purigen might be your two best go-to treatments at this point to try and get rid of it, to get rid of the red slime. But that would be my first gut question would be, are you switching salt to the Fritz? Because I know a lot of people haven't been using Fritz that long, and this red slime issue has come up as people have been transitioning because the Fritz levels are so much higher than the salt that they were using previously, has sent it a little bit out of whack and ended up with some red slime. All right. Hopefully that answers it. Mr. Fehrenbach, go ahead and send in your questions to my email, your responses or whatever, unless you get them in here in the last couple seconds. We've only got a couple seconds left, and most people are logging off already. I see mass exodus happening because I think most people realize it's almost 5 o'clock my time, and they're going to roll out the door. A couple quick things here, just a couple quick pieces of business here. If you are going to buy some plants, fish, or buy plants, fertilizers, shirts, or any of that kind of stuff, head over to aquariumcoop.com and check out the Aquarium Co-op. If you've never been there before, go check it out. He's been... just a shout out to the Aquarium Co-op. If you've never been there, he and I have been working on a bunch of projects together, and I'm super appreciative. And I just want to shout out his business just here at the end, and just be like, hey man, check it out for sure. Shout out here. Go ahead and hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that nonsense stuff. Go find one of my old videos that you really like and share it out somewhere. Help me out, because I don't know what happened this week, but YouTube analytics, I've been just getting murdered. I almost thought my channel was banned or something, because earlier today we had like no views, and I don't know what was going on. But hopefully everybody has a fantastic weekend. I'm gonna have a short video coming out this weekend, so hit the notification button for that one. But that's it for today. Everybody have a fantastic day out there. Later.